There has been another live action remake of a movie that has been out since the older days, or is part of history and media production. It's just recreating it and trying to be more representative. And this is most like the fourth or fifth time we have heard of this, and the first being Tinkerbell and Peter Pan, and then we had the recent one where Halle Bailey did Ariel, and there was like original song that was cut, and there was Aquafina sang a very cheesy song, and Jada Pinkett Smith made history based movie about Cleopatra, but they used the African American woman instead of an actual someone who is African. Which Africans they have three different groups. Which one is the whites, and the blacks, which really burn, and then the colored, which is right between. And historians they were very angry about that, and now they are making another live action remake of Snow White. And this time it's played by Latina actress, and there has been a lot of anger regarding who's playing Snow White, and also people who are playing the Seven Dwarfs, which Latina is playing a character named Snow White, which Snow White, that's her name, and she, of course, she's a white skin color, a person, a Caucasian. And you know all the old good fables, and before Disney stepped in, and the good old Walt Disney days. And then and then the witch, that tricks Snow White by giving her an apple that was poisoned. So Snow White, she eats the apple, takes a bite, and then she falls asleep for a long time, and then the prince comes along, gives like kisses her, and she wakes up, and then yeah, they get married. That's the original story that Disney had made, but kind of alter what the original fable is, which can be a bit more darker, such as Ariel, which was much more darker. Because, as you know, the original Little Mermaid fables were actually the prince, actually marries the person he falls in love with, which is not Ariel, the other lady though. And then yeah, they get married, and Ariel turns into Seafoam. Although Halle Bailey would have been a perfect if there was Disney would decided to make live action Tiana. Halle Bailey, all she had to do was learn culinary skills, which she could just hook up with Gordon Ramsay or a line cook, and that would have. But yeah, but she would have to be very fast because the animation movie of the Princess and the Frog, which Tiana was a fast cooker. But of course, the newer generation would be mad that give her representation, and they would get mad that they would change things, and the white friend of Tiana gets jealous and you got to marry a royal person, and of course they would try to change it, and she would try to step in, or they would try to change things. And now regarding Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, now the lead actress is a Latina named Rachel Zegler, and she was originally against the original Fable and the Disney animated movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and she was saying that why are women being treated this way, and she was all about women should have higher power than men, and the SAG-AFTRA strike that's still going on right now. She dressed up as Snow White, and she was complaining about this on news. And not just that, but the seven actors that are playing the Seven Dwarfs, six of them are regular-sized men, while the seventh person is an actual person who is a dwarf. And actor Peter Dinklage, who would starred in roles such as Pixels, the video game movie, and also he's very known for his role in Game of Thrones, the movie, the show version, which is influenced off A Song of Ice and Fire, which the first book is called Game of Thrones, and then other 4 or 5 books are titled differently. Should you know that? And Rachel Zegler said the original cartoon came in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story and with the guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So this was like this was the old timer thing, which, and every single culture out there back in the old days, the men had power, and of course the royals had power, the government had power, and the middle class people had power, and then the working class power, meaning the poor people, they were at the bottom, and women, of course, they were at the bottom, and it took generations for change to happen, for women to get rights. Over in the USA, that was a bit different, and women had to get their rights to vote, and to get jobs, and they could get jobs that in the higher positions that typically only a man could get. And then African American women, they also had to fight for their rights to also get to that position too. And then Asian American women, they also had to fight for their rights afterwards. And it all took a while just for women to get their rights. And unfortunately, in some countries out there, they are still dealing with segregation, such as the Middle East, where women are required to cover every single part of their body except for their eyes. So you would be only seeing this if you went to countries like Saudi Arabia. And there are people who are all living in Western countries such as Canada and USA who you may see in public wearing covering their head to toe. The, the head would be covered with cloth, traditional cloth, and then the rest would be just apparel that you could be finding here. But they have to be like long sleeve shirts and pants. Otherwise, and they're trying to keep their traditions. So basically, the topic is basically the lead actress playing Snow White, and also who's playing the dwarfs. And there are people who actual people who are dwarfs who get picked on just because they're small in height and growing up. Of course, they would have to deal with that. The late Vern Troyer, he also had to deal with that. He was in several music videos, such as Steve Aoki's songs that he produced, and also Chris Brown's several of his royalty album tracks, except for Little More. And anyway, and Taylor Parks. So basically, they could have just hired anyone who the dwarf, basically over in USA, Canada, or in Europe, who are fluent in English or ESL. And of course, the requirement for a Disney movie is, of course, that you most of them Disney movies, of course, you're gonna have to be singing. The original Disney animated movies, there was singing involved. Whether it's the lead main characters or the main characters or the minor characters or someone or the soundtrack, or if the singer who is also playing the character. So that would be also a requirement. So and news have been very upset about that. Such as GB news presenter Ann Diamond, who had criticized his decision to destroy their backlog of tales with a series of revamps, which typically that's what they're doing. Which the son of the animator who directed the original Snow White, who said David Hand and David Hand Jr. would who said his dad and Walt Disney would be rolling in their grave for the decision. And and Diamond said on the news that it's like they're going through their own backlog and destroying it. Why would you why would you do that? Walt Disney wouldn't want them to do that. And Walt Disney, he was a person born in 1901. He fought. He was part of the World War II. He originally wanted to fight the Nazi Germany, but he became a medic. And then the Walt Disney Disney company started, and we got these Disney movies, and oh, and then the cartoons happened, and then eventually live action versions, and the the TV shows that we grew up watching, that those happened. And Diamond also said that I think parents will still take their children anyway. Kids are none the wiser. It's only the adults who see this and have been ripped to shreds. Because the parents will know that, oh, this is what they're doing to the generation we grew up with. As a parent, you will want them to show the classic, then the new film, and make them decide what they prefer. And there has been on social media, there was one African American girl who was shown by her parents on Disney Plus, the Halle Bailey version of The Little Mermaid, and the little girl definitely saw the original version, and then the new one, and she was very disappointed that, and said Ariel's not black. And you know kids, they're brutally honest, they have no filter. And while the African Americans made a big deal about it, over in the eastern part of the world, in Asia, people only liked it because of the songs, mostly. And especially in countries that they like to sing and dance. David Hand also said some more stuff. Talking about the movie and saying they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, it's a whole different concept, and I totally disagree with it. I know my dad and Walt would be very much disagreeing with it. The 9-year-old, 1-year-old said they changed the story, they changed the thought process of the characters. They're making up new woke things, and I'm just not into any of that. I find it quite frankly a bit insulting what they may have done with some of these classic films. There's no respect for what Disney did and what my dad did. I think Walt and he would be turning in their graves. And Rachel Zegler said, I hope the world becomes kinder, and while they're ruining a classic movie, And I love you very much, forever and ever. I remember to be kind. Treat everyone with patience and empathy. Remember that you are loved unconditionally. No matter your mistakes, no matter your misunderstandings. You deserve it. You deserve love. You deserve to live without fear. Yet she was slandering the original version, and she's the one making a big deal of all this. And Disney's been making some bad decisions recently, putting propaganda and things. While there has been some representation where first African American cartoon movie that we made, first the Asian American movie that we made, they had the first movie that starred Chinese Canadian Simu Liu and Shang-Chi in the Legend of the Ten Rings. Although Simu Liu was already known for starring in a Netflix series or version of Kim's Convenience, the actual play. About an actual convenience store owned by Korean immigrants in downtown Toronto. So if you're the new actor or actress playing a new version of remake of the old version of a classic version of a movie, and you say that movie sucks, that it's garbage, and you think my movie's better. So yeah, just stop disrespecting the older generation or the generation of the maybe the kids who grew up watching these old classics shown by their parents, and they wanted to see this and they liked it, and then they come across you because they know of you because you starred in a recent show that and then now you're starring in this Disney remake of a movie, and you're like, oh, she's being disrespectful of a classic movie that I liked, and okay, I might not watch that. And then she asked for respect, yet she's trashing on just about everyone who typically might want to check out the movie. And turns out, oh, and there has been people like Piers Morgan who are also saying, get actual dwarfs to play dwarf roles in movies. Because there are some roles that can't be race swapped, and otherwise you would be labeled cultural appropriation, and that's what Disney is turning into. And also what Jada Pinkett also did with the Cleopatra documentary. So it's hard to show some respect to Rachel Zegler for her acting these days, because if she's going to say that, because she's been in shows that you may have watched just a few when she was on the big screen, after when you're watching on home or on Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever network, or to watch these new shows that you just came across and like, I like this show. She played a good character for this character, and like the storyline, this kind of stuff. And then you see how toxic she is. And surely she could be doing better in other media production, but how she's approaching this in Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, and there has been another live action of Snow White called Snow White and the Huntsman, and that did a much better job and better reviews than that. Go check that out. Look it up. And people were comparing that to Snow White and the Huntsman to what Rachel Zegler and the six average size men and one dwarf are going to be featuring in. And there's also some talk that it's also being produced by the same person who produced the Barbie movie that just came out, starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. So this is going to be a bit different. And just recently, we talked about Elemental, the cartoon movie, which most of the storyline, it's cute. Not something that everyone will like. We've all seen it getting shared on social media too, and Facebook, Instagram, X, and maybe snippets of it on YouTube, on TikTok, and we all love it, and it looks like a pretty good movie, except Ava Hauser, who is a non-binary actor, decided to take to X and think that I'm a non-binary actor playing a non-binary character. Go watch it to support me. So yeah, that's the only reason why the movie will receive some backlash, because an LGBTQ NBS2 plus whatever and whatever they added. Was making a big deal about, and we don't really want to talk about that, and we just want to watch the TV show or movie just because we find it appealing. We like the storyline. Our favorite actor or actress is our favorite producer. Great songs that we came across, and it was uploaded to YouTube, Tidal, Spotify, or Google Play, iTunes, and we liked it. Oh, it's going to be in this movie. Oh yeah, we're definitely going to want to watch it. And we could have just dealt with that, but now it's and we're also going to be wondering what songs are going to be on part of the soundtrack for this movie. So especially what happened with the Little Mermaid and Aquafina's Scuttlebug song, which is she was basically just hollering. So hopefully they might do a better job and maybe change some stuff before its official release. Such like they cut Amber Heard's screen time in Aquaman 2 to only around 10 minutes. Hopefully Disney does not make another mistake when making another live action remake, which they probably will.